Let me ask you something. What if I told you that one man in the Bible saw the end of the world long before Revelation was ever written? Not John, not Daniel, Enoch. And what he described was so disturbing, so specific, that most churches never mention it. Because it doesn't sound like ancient mythology. It sounds like now. And today, I want to show you exactly what Enoch saw, why it matters, and why the world is starting to look more like his vision every single day. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not a coincidence. Most people barely know who Enoch even was. He's one of the most mysterious figures in all of Scripture. Genesis tells us almost nothing, just one shocking line. Enoch walked with God, and then he was no more because God took him. That's it. No death, no burial, no explanation. It's like God pulled him out of the world before something happened. And then, outside the Bible, in the Book of Enoch, we get the missing story. A story so intense that it feels almost dangerous to read. Because Enoch wasn't just a prophet, he was shown things no human was supposed to see. And here's the first question. Why is it that so many believers have never heard what Enoch saw? Why does it feel like this book sits in the shadows of biblical history? Some say it's because it was too much, too supernatural, too cosmic, too revealing. Because Enoch doesn't just talk about heaven, he talks about judgment. About fallen angels, about the final shaking of the earth, and what he saw is terrifying. Enoch begins with something most people don't even realize is in Genesis. Genesis 6, that strange moment when the sons of God came down, and something happened on earth that corrupted humanity. Enoch expands it. He says these were watchers, angelic beings assigned to observe, but they rebelled, they descended, and they taught humans forbidden knowledge, not just sin, but secrets, weapons, sorcery, corruption. And the earth changed. The world became unrecognizable. Violence filled everything. And God made a decision. Judgment was coming. But before it came, Enoch was shown what would happen at the end of all things. Not just the flood, the end. Now listen carefully. Enoch describes a time when the world would return to the same darkness, a cycle, a pattern, a final corruption. He speaks of lawlessness, of humanity forgetting God, of spiritual powers moving again. And here's what's chilling. The way he describes it feels like he's looking directly at modern civilization. Because he doesn't just say, the world will end. He gives images, he gives signs, he gives atmosphere. And that's what we're entering now. Enoch says he saw the earth shaken, the heavens trembling, and fire descending. Not symbolic fire, real fire. A burning judgment that consumes what is corrupt. And when people hear that, they immediately think of Revelation. But Enoch wrote centuries before, so how did he see the same thing? Unless both were shown the same ending. Because God does not change the conclusion, and here's where it gets personal. What if the reason you're hearing this right now is because God is waking people up again? What if we are closer than we think to the world Enoch saw? Stay with me, because the next part is where it becomes impossible to ignore. Enoch describes a generation that becomes spiritually numb. A world obsessed with knowledge, but empty of wisdom. A civilization advancing, but decaying. Sound familiar? He says people will call evil good, and good evil. He says the earth will groan, and creation itself will react. And we are watching that. Wars, confusion, moral collapse, a hunger for darkness disguised as light. It's like the atmosphere of Noah, returning. Sometimes I try to imagine Enoch standing there, seeing cities, seeing towers, seeing technology, seeing a world connected, but spiritually blind. And then hearing God say, "This is how it ends." That would break you. That would change you forever. And that's why Enoch walked with God. Because after seeing the end, nothing else mattered. Enoch warns that rebellion does not disappear. It hides, it waits, it returns in new forms. Not necessarily with giants, but with deception, with seduction, with a world that forgets heaven exists. And that is exactly what we are living through. A generation that believes only in what it can touch, while spiritual forces move unseen. But here's the part people miss. Enoch is not just doom. Enoch is a warning, because God always warns before he acts. The flood came, but Noah was prepared. Judgment will come, but the faithful will be preserved. Enoch's vision is terrifying, but it's also mercy, because God does not destroy without first speaking. And now, I want to tell you the part of Enoch's vision that most people never hear. Because it's not about destruction, it's about what comes after. Enoch saw something beyond the fire. He saw the righteous shining. He saw restoration, a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And suddenly, the end becomes the beginning. So let me ask you again, what if Enoch wasn't just writing history? What if he was writing to us, to this generation, to the ones living at the edge of the final chapter, not to scare, but to awaken? Because the world is loud, but heaven is speaking quietly. And the question is, are we listening? If this message stirred something in you, if you felt that the world is shifting, that Scripture is becoming real in ways we never expected, then you are not alone. Write in the comments, "God, open my eyes." And if you want the next video, where we go deeper into what Enoch revealed about the Watchers and why Genesis 6 is the most censored chapter in the Bible, make sure you subscribe. Because the truth is still here, hidden, but waiting to be unveiled. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next revelation.